All right. Welcome to SoFlo TV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. So, right now, Donald Trump is proposing to stop birthright citizenship. That means to the children of people that were, to the children who were born in the U.S., to parents who are here illegally, those children will also be considered illegal. Now, before we go into all that, let me read something for you real quick. Birthright citizenship in the United States is acquired by virtue of the circumstances of birth. That means constitutionally, citizenship is guaranteed to an individual that is born on U.S. soil. This is different or contrast with citizenship that is acquired other ways. For example, through naturalization. Birthright citizenship may be conferred by jus soli or jus sanguinis. I'll explain that in a minute. Pursuant to the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution and the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, U.S. citizenship is automatically granted to any person born within and subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. This includes the territories of Puerto Rico, the Marianas, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and also applies to children born elsewhere in the world to U.S. citizens with certain exceptions. Say, for instance, you're serving in the United States Army and you're a United States citizen, and your wife happens to have your baby in Germany. Your child is still considered an American citizen. That child will most likely be born in a military base, which is considered U.S. property, or a military hospital. Either way, even if you have them on a street in a cab, they'll still be considered a U.S. citizen. The aspects of birthright citizenship conferred by jus soli. I know a lot of people were saying, what the hell is jus soli? It's the Latin word for right of the soil, or it is your right of the soil. This is regarded as controversial by some U.S. political figures due to its application to the native-born offspring of illegal aliens. So, a lot of political people, politicians as we call them, have been up in arms about this. They believe that the Constitution needs to be changed right here because there's no damn reason for illegal immigrants to come to the United States of America, drop their babies, and the baby is automatically a citizen. Now, I must say that this was a thing, and I'm guessing that it still is. I'm very well aware of this, that immigrants do come to the U.S., and it's not just Spanish or people from Mexico. The Russians do it. There are widespread, just Google it. There are widespread stories of the Russians doing it and the Chinese doing it especially. So they'll come over here and they'll be a little bit pregnant, knowing damn well they're going to overstay their welcome, and then they'll have the babies here, knowing that the babies will be automatic citizens. So this is what President Obama is saying. We should have no more of this. This policy stems from the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 1868 text states that all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the U.S. wherein they reside. The Pew Hispanic Center, listen to this, the Pew Hispanic Center estimates that approximately 7.5% of all births in the U.S. That is almost 300,000 births per year are to undocumented immigrants. So it's only logical that if President Trump is trying to stop in the influx of illegal immigrants and he's trying to deport as many people as possibly can, remember, laws have changed. The things that you were once able to get away with without being deported are no longer so. People are being stripped of their naturalized citizenship just so you can be deported for offenses that are over a decade old. Even after you've been tried in a court of law, you did your time, whether it was community service or time behind bars or whatever, you came back out, you changed your ways, you built a life. Got a wife, got married, had children, sent them off to college, and boom, ICE shows up at your door. Hey, in 1989 you had so and so, but hell, we're in 2018. We don't give a damn, come with us. The laws have changed that much. Every time I do these videos, there are people that are willing to tell me that this ain't gonna happen. They're just talking about it. If you look at all my other immigration videos, you'll notice that the things that I forewarned about, they all came to pass so far. These people don't throw these things out there just because they're thinking about them. They throw these things out there because they're actually working on making it possible. Okay? And the laws are theirs. It is theirs to change. They make the laws and they break the laws at their convenience. Now, I must say this. 300,000 babies born to undocumented immigrants every 12 months. The number right now is actually 297,000. That is why they said in this report approximately 300,000. But can you imagine 297,000 babies being born to illegal immigrants and then being labeled as illegal themselves? That's 297,000 deportees potentially. The Pew Hispanic Center also estimates that there are 4.5 million children who were born to unauthorized immigrants that received citizenship via birth in the United States, while the Migración Policy Institute estimates that there are 4.1 million. So 4.1, 4.5, the numbers are a little bit off from both institutions, but you get the point. It is roughly 4 million. Both estimates exclude anyone 18 and older who might have benefited previously. Alright, so now that we've done jamming up those numbers, let's talk about this. Alright, so this one is fresh off the press, and according to CBS News, President Trump is seeking to limit immigration to the U.S. and is to set a challenge to the 150-year-old constitutional standard that anyone born in the U.S. is an American citizen. Mr. Trump told Axios on HBO that he plans to sign an executive order. This is the interview that many saw, and now everyone's in a frenzy. SoFlo, you got to do something on this. He just did an interview on Axios, and he said it on national television. Well, this is the interview where he told Axios on HBO that he plans to sign an executive order to remove the right to citizenship for babies of non-citizens and unauthorized immigrants that are born on U.S. soil. How ridiculous. We're the only country in the world. This is Trump, quote unquote. This is POTUS, President of the United States of America. He said, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. The president said that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it has to end. Mr. Trump told Axios that he has talked with the White House counsel about the executive order, and it is in process. It will happen. That is what he said. Let me say it again. He told Axios that he has talked with White House counsel about the executive order and that it is in process and it will happen. The 14th Amendment passed after the Civil War specifically says that all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. are citizens. The Supreme Court, however, has upheld this rule for legal permanent residents but has never decided a citizenship case involving an illegal immigrant or a short-term visitor. Alright, so I don't know if Donald Trump is doing this just to make people panic or what, but there are a lot of high-ranking politicians that are saying it's not going to be that easy to actually do this, okay? Amending the Constitution would require super majorities in House and Senate and ratification by 3/4 of the states, or a constitutional convention could be called by 2/3 of the legislators of the states. I don't know what that means. Break it down. If that happened, the amendment would have to be approved by 3/4 of the states. So Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, a key ally for Mr. Trump, said following the news of the president's plan that he would introduce legislation similar to any executive order President Trump might issue ending birthright citizenship in the United States. He said, "It's unclear whether Graham means he would initiate the process for a constitutional amendment." In 2010, Graham considered introducing a constitutional amendment to change existing laws to end birthright citizenship. So it's a long time they've been fighting for this, since 2010. All right? I may introduce a constitutional amendment that changes the rules. If you have a child here, Graham told Fox News at the time, back in 2010, birthright citizenship, I think, is a mistake. We should change our constitution and say, if you come here illegally and you have a child here, that child's automatically not a citizen. However, House Speaker Paul Ryan said in an interview with Larry Glover live on WVLK that he disagreed with Trump about the constitutionality of an executive order on birthright citizenship. This is what he said, and if you don't remember, House Speaker Paul Ryan was handpicked by Trump to his cabinet, and then he jumped ship, right? So there now is a discrepancy. I'm starting to think that Ryan is going to run for president one day. Don't know if he's going to win or whatever, but I see it coming, but that's a whole different story. Ryan went on to say that you cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. We didn't like it when Obama tried changing immigration laws via executive actions, and obviously as conservatives we believe in the Constitution. Now obviously he's trying to protect the party which he's from while trying to throw Obama under the bus. I don't know why they're still calling that man's name. He's been out of office forever. Go ahead and do your thing, but just leave President Obama out of it. I mean, he did his time and it's gone, right? He's in the history books. Move on. Jim Van de Heij, the executive of Axios, who interviewed Mr. Trump, said that the president has been talking, he says, to legal scholars internally. They say he can get away with it. Can. That's a C-A-N. The legal scholars internally that Trump's been talking to say that he can get away with it. There are loopholes. Listen, this is a warning. Shots have been fired. I'm waiting to see what will happen here. He says, I don't even need to go to Congress to change this. Mr. Trump's latest comment on immigration comes ahead of next week's midterm election, in which the issue is a key rallying cry for the GOP base. So in other words, then it's time to vote again, and he must deliver what he has promised to his base, or else they stand to lose. On Monday, the administration announced it was deploying over 5,200 troops. Mind you, these are what we call nasty girls or National Guards to the southern border to block a caravan of Central American immigrants, which is expected to arrive at the U.S. border next month. My advice to those caravan of immigrants who are heading this way, arriving at the U.S. border, look, Mexico can't do it, and they're right next door, like within walking distance. You're not going to march from where you come from through Mexico and through the border into the U.S. It's just not going to happen. Now, let's address this issue at hand. I've been telling a lot of people, man, that things are changing. Things are changing, and they're changing drastically. A lot of people are saying, watch, SoFlo, you're going to lose. You'll see. I bet you money that Donald Trump is going to be impeached. 12.5 million illegal aliens are in the USA today. That's a number. 12.5 million illegal immigrants are in the USA today. Estimated number. So the people who are saying get them out, I mean, how can you blame them? Would you want people living in your house without your consent? You know what I'm saying? And even people who are illegal immigrants from other countries, if you ask them, would you want people living in your country without your consent? What if 12.5 million illegal people flooded your island that you came from, or flooded your country you came from? They would tell you themselves that they wouldn't like it, but still they're here. Now, long story short, we all know America is the land of opportunity. Whether you want to admit it or not, it is. And it pains me to see when people from outside of America, they curse it. And they say, you act like America is all that. You act like it's milk and honey. You act like the streets are paved with gold. No, there's a lot of poverty here. There's a lot of violence here. There's a lot of violence against people of color here. And I'm a person of color. This is nothing that I hide, but it's highly highlighted. Whereas in other nations, it's hidden. It's highly highlighted. The difference is we know what the hell is going on here. We know what time it is, and we know how to move. Those of us who are smart. And at the same time, this is one of the places on earth where if you are determined and you have a plan and you are about that life, as we say, you can make things happen for you, regardless. Right? So there's no wonder that many people are trying to get here from all different walks of life and all corners of the earth. And to the tune of 12.5 million illegal immigrants and 300,000 babies being born per year to illegal immigrants here on this soil. Now I can't blame this man, but it's not his agenda. You have to understand that it's not his agenda. The people who said, SoFlo, you'll see, he's going to be impeached, he won't make it through his term, all this other stuff, lies you tell. Lies you tell. And if you go look at my old videos from the election right on down, I'm still saying the same thing. Donald Trump was put in place, okay? That is why Hillary Clinton won majority vote and Donald Trump still became president. Explain that to me. If you think the people's vote count, Hillary won by thousands, and they made it public, known to the public, that she won by thousands. And still, the Electoral College, which is a room, a smoke-filled room of men in suit and ties, sat in that darkness and put in position who they thought was best to suit their agenda at this given moment. In other words, whatever you see Trump doing right now, it's not his doing. He is being told what to do, and he's doing what he is supposed to do because that's his job. If you take a job at Burger King and they say clock in at 9, clock out at 4, do this, mop the floors, do that, you're going to have to do that to maintain your job. And that's the same thing. He took a job because that's what the president's spot is. It's a job. He took a job, and there are a list of things on the list that this man has to do. They just had to find someone cold enough to do it that wouldn't care. Y'all hear my baby coughing in the background. I'm not stopping. They just had to find someone cold enough to do it that did not care about a public backlash. That's why Donald Trump says all the things he says. Like, when they come across the border, Mexico is not sending their best. And all these countries that send immigrants, they're not sending their best. They're sending their criminals. So in other words, when illegal, if he's, do the math. If he says all these countries that are sending their illegal immigrants to the U.S., if they are sending, if in his eyes they're sending their worst, then the children that are born to them, what do you think he's thinking? He's thinking that genetically, you're genetically predispositioned to become criminals just like your parents. Because you are the worst that came from El Salvador. You're the worst that came from Haiti. You're the worst that came from Jamaica. You're the worst that came from all these other places where they pinpoint and deport on a large scale illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants are thought to be in the United States. 11.3 rose to 12.5 million. $10,070 is the cost per person per deportation. And if we should deport everyone, it should cost the U.S. about $114 billion to deport every illegal immigrant out of the United States of America. Now, I don't want to stray too far from that, but recently there's actually, stay tuned, because there's another video that I have and I hope you see it, where we talk about the 4-year-old girl that was placed on a plane and deported by herself. But the backstory to that is that she was separated at the border. Now, people are out here protesting and they're saying, keep families together. It is wickedness. Why would you separate the children from their parents? If they came and they're caught together illegally, deport them as illegal immigrants together. I can only think that this is another way of making people think twice. Like, okay, I want to go to the US. Somebody got a hookup at the border. We're going to try to cross. I'm taking my kids with me. Someone else is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, oh no, don't do it. Because when John took his kids with him, he didn't see those kids for 6 months after. They separated them. They had him in one prison. Look at this. ICE has a bus for are you looking at this picture? A detention bus with baby seats. All baby seats and no adult seats. That's to tell you what time it is. You will not be on the bus with your children. It's SoFlo TV, man. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave your comment in the comment section below. Let's talk about this one. I'm out. Peace.